All right, I want to welcome Jidenna to In the Zone, man. It is a pleasure to have you.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
I'm a classic man. You can be me when you look this clean. I'm a classic man.
I'm a fan. My daughter's a big fan.
Hey.
I'm really getting points. You helping me as a father right now.
But father, cool points.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's a pleasure to be here, Chris, for real.
I appreciate it. And I'm surprised, and maybe I stereotype, you know, because of your gear, which is fresh and all that, but you're a big hoop fan.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me about how big you into basketball.
I mean, I've been hooping since I can remember, since I was a child, man. I was always a point guard fan, you know what I'm saying? I came of age in the era of Iverson.
So you were a first point guard.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't even play. I tried to play like him, and I became a pass first.
Okay.
But he was the one that kind of brought me out of my shell, you know? And also for the hip hop generation, he was like the first dude to really dress like that. He was a rebel. So, you know, the game changed my life, especially as somebody coming from Nigeria when I was a kid, coming to America. You know, I knew soccer, you know.
So were you born in America?
I was born in America because my dad was like, you gotta get that blue passport for sure. But then I grew up in Nigeria till I was about 6. Came over here, I was a soccer player. I was nice, you know.
Really?
But you know, some of my homies in school was like, you know, that ain't what we do over here, okay? We ball. So I took up ball pretty early, man, and I really believed I was gonna be a rapper, basketball player.
So in the NBA?
For real, and NBA all the way, and a rapper. I was like, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Then, so I got into a school that was great at both athletics and academics, which was Stanford. I go to school, and I'm like, I'm gonna walk on. My homie Tunde had walked on. I was like, this is great. I walk onto that court and walk right on. Because, you know, it was just a certain dedication I could see in the players, you know, that I thought I had. But I realized I was just a fan of the game more than, you can be on the sidelines and don't have to be on the court all the time, but I love basketball to death.
That's great, man, that's great. So when you went to Stanford's obviously a great school.
Yeah.
Did you go there, your intention was, I'm gonna be a rapper?
Yeah, my intention always was I'm gonna be a rapper.
Okay.
You know, I don't think, you don't go to school for rap.
That's what
I went to school because my parents were like, you know, this is what we do. Especially my dad's Nigerian. It's like, you're going to school, whether by hook or by crook. So, you know, I had to go. It wasn't a choice. And I almost dropped out because I was listening to Kanye West at the time, and he was telling me to drop out of the music. I was like, I don't need this. But I'm glad I went, man. I'm really glad. I met some amazing people there, people that play in the league now, people that play in the WNBA.
Was in the league when you were
You know who was leaving was Josh Childress.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I hooped with him, and just all around like sports fanatics. Like Richard Sherman used to come over to my crib and play Madden.
So he was, he was there?
Yeah. I graduated in 08.
Okay.
Yeah, so Sherman would come, and he was, the way he played that game, he plays Madden the same way. Yeah. So it was a beautiful school to go to, man. It's also just dope to see, when you go to school like that, you see people just rise up in every aspect of life, all around entertainment for sure, politics and whatnot. But it was cool. It was good, but it wasn't the rap school that I was. You know, you can't really find that. So in my off time when I wasn't studying, I was making album after album after album, perfecting the craft.
Now, so obviously you performed at school, I'm sure.
Yeah. That was my first start, first release, you know, early iTunes. I remember, you know, MySpace, using that to promote and whatnot. And that's where I met Janelle Monáe, actually. It was via MySpace.
Okay.
Janelle, of course, and Wonderland Records were the people that helped me create, or they created a platform really for me to go ahead and do my thing on a larger scale.
That's awesome, man, that's awesome. Keep it basketball for a little while. I've been asking a lot of people, because there's a lot of talk right now about who's the GOAT. And I think a lot of millennials think it's LeBron.
Here we go.
All right, so who you got?
The millennial, the M word. You just brought the M word out. Nah, it's not. You know, I love LeBron, man. I've actually come to really enjoy this guy, like on and off the court, what he's done, what he represents. He is a champ. He has a champion spirit. But the GOAT's Michael Jordan.
Okay.
When you have a guy like that, I remember this conversation that it was ELO talking about this, 1989, of course, epic game. Yeah. But ELO talks about how Jordan would tell him, you know, I'm gonna dribble, I'm gonna catch it on the left side, I'm gonna dribble to the left, and I'm gonna bust a fadeaway on you. He would tell you what the move was before he didn't. And I'm a blunt, straight shooter kind of guy. So when I heard that about Jordan, I was like, I appreciated one, but two, that's just a certain magic and certain confidence. And I don't think there's anybody that has surpassed him as a well-rounded player.
Is there anything, because I've said, like, if LeBron wins this year and next year, I think he could be the GOAT.
LeBron's on his way.
Okay.
So yeah, I know you brought the M word out. So I'll side with some of my generation in terms of, yes, he can be that for sure. Okay. I don't think he's there now. I don't even know if he'd say that. You know, he's a guy striving for excellence. But once he gets there, I'll acknowledge it. I'm glad he's on the way.
Who would you say is on your Mount Rushmore?
One Mount Rushmore, man, obviously MJ. Michael Jordan, but I'll take the other MJ too. Magic. Yeah. And by the way, I'm gonna look at the criteria like this. These are champion spirit, but also individuals that dominate the game, and the game changed after them.
Okay. All right, I like that. Defining the criteria.
Yeah, because we're looking at Rushmore, we're looking at founding fathers, right? Yeah. So Jordan, Magic Johnson, I'd say Shaq.
Okay. John Wall had those three too.
Yeah, I'd say Shaq. I know he got injured a lot, but Shaq dominated, and it was never, that position was never played the way he played it. And then, you know what? I might go with LeBron here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good. We were talking to Wall, and I don't know if just his history. He didn't pay attention to history class because he only gave me 3 on this Mount Rushmore. But we were theorizing that his 4th might be LeBron.
Yeah.
But he can't say that now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because his job is to keep LeBron off the Mount Rushmore. You know what I mean?
No, I understand. But
try to win.
Yeah, I thought Rushmore sometimes I thought, is it 5? Is it 4? But I do remember 4, so I'm glad 4. I'm accurate.
I figured, man, Stanford, you had to get that one right.
Well, you can. I mean, you don't. I've met a lot of fools in different circumstances. I don't think a diploma really certifies how smart you are, or you could just be smart at one thing your whole life.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Book smart.
Yeah.
No, I get that. Who's your favorite team right now that you root for?
You know, once you live in a city like Boston, no matter, once I moved from Nigeria, I moved to Boston. And that's the thing, we used to get whooped when we wear like, maybe I have some like orange and blue Air Force Ones, and I'd want to rock a Knicks hat. And no, we get jumped for that, you know. Wow. Boston don't play that. So even though I've lived in the Bay, I love the Warriors, I also lived in Brooklyn. I got to go with the Celtics, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, before your era, you know, it was Showtime versus the Bird.
Yeah, I know.
And it was very racially divided.
I know.
I don't know what blacks in Boston were doing. Like, were they pulling for the Lakers? Because, you know, virtually all the blacks everywhere else was pretty much pulling for the Lakers.
For the Lakers, I know. We have a rep, and it's not just the Celtics, it's like all our sports teams, you know. And usually we have this one black player who's like the anomaly, you know what I'm saying? Like the Russell of the crew, and there he is. So I don't know what people were doing back then. But
you're obviously now with the big 3.
Yeah, we got Isaiah Thomas now.
That boy's bad. Who would be your starting 5 for the All-Star game?
Starting 5?
Both conferences.
I'm not mad at the lineups now, except for one huge mistake, which is Russell Westbrook is not starting.
So he should start over Curry?
I mean, you got a guy, triple-double maestro, right? Guy who's carrying the entire team. Yep. A guy who drives the way like a halfback runs through Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anybody drive like that. And again, I was an Iverson fan as a boy, but I see that and I'm like, that guy should be there. There's no question. I look at, and I think there's some people that got left off that I'd bring, like Bradley Beal. I think, but I'm not mad at a lot of it, but it's just, when Russell wasn't starting, it just hurts. I mean, I love Steph Curry as well, but that dude's had an amazing year, man. I mean, you remember, like, I'm a Jordan fan, so the closer you get to a well-rounded game, the more I am a fan of you.
Do you think, at this point, would Russell be an MVP? I got Harden right now.
I know, it's one of the two, right? Yeah. It's one of the two, but I like Russell, man. I do. I think there's something in him. I'm looking for that champ, you know, and I just see it in him. I see it in his heart, his dedication. He's like the way he plays the game is like his life is on the line. and I like Harden, but I see something more in Westbrook. I go MVP with Westbrook. You
know what's interesting about Russ? Because people look at him on the court and he looks angry, and like you said, like his life is on the line.
He got a strong face.
Yeah, he
got a strong face.
And if you talk to people in the organization, Oklahoma City, like Russell and KD were always, friends. Yeah. But it wasn't like they were best buddies, because Russell's just to himself. Yeah. He's married, and I saw him over All-Star at the Jordan party. And I was in that section with a lot of players were there. And Russell was just kind of to himself. And his parents were there.
Down, just like.
Yeah, he was standing up and maybe moving a little, but just kind of chilling to himself. And his parents were nearby. Yeah. He's a real family type guy. Yeah. And so a lot of people might mistake it for being aloof. And but it's not that. It's just kind of, that's who he is, you know.
Do you think that I guess his family life, but also how he was raised and how he is off the court, do you think that affects him on the court? In that he is, for example, now
he's a one-man machine.
He's a one-man machine, but imagine he wasn't. Imagine Durant was still there. Imagine there was 2-3 other players on that squad, right? Yeah. Do you think that he would
give it up? Yeah. I mean, he's so unique. You mentioned Iverson. To me, he's a lot like Iverson. Yeah. He's just a bigger, stronger version of Iverson. Yeah. And AI, like first ballot Hall of Famer, iconic. But it was tough for AI to mesh with other great players. Like over an 82-game season, he could do the All-Star, Olympics, or whatever. But for 82 games, because
he's getting bumped.
Exactly. He's going to play how he plays.
The reason I liked him is because I remember looking at his stats. I was like, all right, his specs. It was like, okay, he's 6'1", 165. I remember he was really tiny, as I am. So I was like, oh, that's my weight. Cool. That's me. But I remember getting bumped, and I'm like, if he's almost my build, and he's in the NBA and get bumped by these giants, and that's the thing. He found a finesse after he get hit. But Russell, he'll bump somebody on the way there, man.
Russell it's incredible. I mean, I actually think, and I would like to ask you this. Let's say Durant stayed and they won 1 ring. Is that better for his legacy?
For Russell's or?
Yeah, for Russell's. Yeah. Or if he averages a triple-double this year, doesn't win a ring for the rest of his career, but he becomes the second person to average a triple-double. I think, look, it's all about winning, but keeping it real, I think if he averaged a triple-double, that'd be better for his legacy. Because what do we remember about Oscar Robertson?
As an individual, definitely. I still want the champ, though, man. I like the rings, man. I love teams, man, for real. I look at any successful person in any industry, man. You always see the face, but you never see all the people around and behind. And I love, and that's partially why my favorite team has usually been from Boston, is because we have a legacy of teams, very team-oriented. There's all-stars, but really, man, it's usually like 4 or 5 guys on the squad, right? But to your point, as an individual, we'll remember Westbrook. If he continues on this triple-double average,
Well, the interesting thing is if they don't he could do it again next year.
Yeah.
If he does it this year, what's to say?
And if nobody is traded over, that would take one of those categories. Yeah.
Nah, it's very, very interesting. How did you feel about KD
leaving?
going to Golden State?
Yeah, that was a controversial moment, man.
A lot of people killed him.
You know, I understand wanting to leave anywhere, right? But I think you need to give it more tries. You know, I think you need to.
No, he was there 9 years.
Yeah, but you got your try a new lineup. I think with Westbrook and Durant, there could have been something amazing, and if they continue to gel, that's what I wanted to see. And I think going to the winning team is just it's tough, man. I was talking with my friend Rosalind.
Oh yeah, that works for the
she's Roz. We were talking about this right before it happened.
Okay.
You know, and she was just talking about Durant, man, and saying that she anticipated that, you know, it was something that was very perplexing and a difficult decision for him, right? I know myself, I wouldn't do that, but there could be other reasons than everybody sees. You know, we always are like, oh yeah, he just went to the winning team. Oh yeah, who knows what was happening behind? You probably know better than me.
Well, I do believe. Like,
you say, yeah, well, I do.
No, well, obviously winning's a part of
Yeah.
it, but he really liked the way they played. The ball movement, the player movement, the selflessness, you know, and he knew Draymond, Steph, Iguodala personally, and just he thought it would be fun playing with them, and you can win, you know, and he wasn't really, you know, so that's like a added bonus, obviously. I feel you though. I mean, I've defended him. I think it's somewhat similar to what LeBron. There's differences because LeBron didn't go to the team that beat him.
Right.
But I think the principle is similar in that they both were like, I didn't get it done here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to a stacked team. You know, because LeBron took Bosh with him to Miami. And I'm saying, I think the people that were hating on Durant, let's say in 3 years, if he's got 2 rings, maybe been the Finals MVP once or twice, they gonna be praising him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because LeBron was the same way. They killed LeBron, and then when he started winning, it was all love.
But LeBron also has like the hero story. I'm gonna go back to Cleveland.
Yes.
And, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. He fixed it.
Yeah, he did.
He fixed
so
it
Durant,
big
maybe if Durant goes back.
And I don't see that happening.
Definitely not.
I don't see that happening. But like a lot of people saying Durant going to Golden State has hurt the league because everybody thinks it's gonna be Golden State in the West, Cleveland in the East. Like there's no.
I don't think that hurts the league.
Okay, because
come on, man. I mean, let's look at the history of this league, man. We just talked about the old days. We talking about Golden Age. We talking about Celtics. We talking about the Lakers. Did that hurt the league? Yeah, did that hurt the league?
You had.
I mean,
obviously
why?
It was Showtime versus the Celtics.
So why? That was great basketball.
But you had a few other teams. Philadelphia was good.
Yep.
Could beat, you know. Every once in a while, got to the finals. Houston got there.
Each action creates an equal opposite reaction. Like, look at the Bulls, right? When we talk about late 80s and then on the cusp into the 90s, you got the bad boys.
Yep.
Detroit's team forced, to me, the Bulls and Jordan to up their game. You feel me? And people forget that.
No question.
The Bulls weren't always champions, man.
Well,
and that's how I feel.
Yeah.
So, like, if you have a Golden State team like this with Durant now, who knows who's gonna come out, man? You never know. I love the Spurs. I love, like, there's a lot of people that could just all of a sudden, and you got the equivalent of what you had with the Bulls in the late 80s.
Nah, that's right. I hope so, because I think we need, and you might have other super teams come together.
Yeah.
Because we need somebody, I think, to compete with those too. Let's get to rapping. Your influence, I've been told that 2 of your early influences were KRS-One and Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah, definitely.
So you were, I don't even know what year you were born.
Obviously, I study.
Yeah.
And I didn't grow up with, like, in the Rakim, KRS, Africa Bambaataa era. I had to go back. So thank God for the internet. You know what I mean?
Okay. Did you do that on your own, or your boys were all into like
I did that on my own.
hip-hop,
my brother's much older than me, so he put me on to a lot of the old school, you know, the old school. And what I learned about KRS-One that I love was just that he's the teacher.
Yeah.
And he stood for something more than just rap. You know, he was a certain OG in the community. Bambaataa, Kool Herc, like the founders, and the people I look at as the godfathers of hip hop, they all were trying to create a safe haven in the hood and create culture. So that's why I went back to understand, you know, what are the roots of this music and this culture. Big Daddy Kane, I just liked he got that swank, he got that, you know.
Just his flow.
Yeah, his flow, and I always looked to see who are the influences of the rappers that I grew up on. That was, for me, you know, there was Jay and Nas when I was a kid, and then, you know, I saw Eminem, Kanye come up, but when you have a Jay or a Nas, you look like, okay, who did they study? Nas said Rakim, Jay said Big Daddy Kane. Okay. So then I would go and study them.
Okay, okay. How do you feel like from that era, the 80s, how do you feel like hip hop is different now than back then?
I mean, I think the most stark difference is that it's melodic now. Yeah. You know, and I know to the displeasure of a lot of old school heads, they just want that. You know, I know there's a lot of guys that tell me, man, I love when you do that Long Live the Chief, man. You just rap, that's that hardcore. Yeah. But they don't. They're like, I don't really want to hear you do all that melodic stuff, man. But to me, that's one thing. Second, I think I've noticed this recently. So when I do features and collaborate with people, because I produce and I record, I'm an engineer as well. I get to hear their raw vocals.
So you do your own, how much of your own beats do you do?
Oh no, I touch every single, but I work with Nana Kwabena, who's an amazing producer. He and I exec produce the project, and then of course Wonderland and Fair and Fancy, we all come together on it. But when I go and listen to the track, the vocals sometimes of these artists are weak. They don't have the strength that I imagine people that was rapping in the 80s and 90s have. Yeah. A lot of people don't know my version, the version of Long Live the Chief that people hear is a live recording. Wow. So it doesn't have like a lot of the super processed vocals that you hear in other songs that I have and other people have. It's not overly processed, that's just my voice. So when I hear artists now, it's like you strip away all this processing, and you kind of get to see who the person really are. And they might have a little dinky little voice. So in general, like that's it's telling, man. It's telling of my generation, and the people that I respect are the ones that have that voice anywhere, with or without all those effects, man. Like, of course, my guy I featured with him, Kendrick Lamar. He's an example. His voice just out the gate. It's just like, all right, that dude's an MC.
You KRS-One, the teachers you mentioned, obviously he used hip hop to present a certain message. You know, Black history, Black empowerment, all that. What message do you obviously deal with a lot of issues, but what message do you really want to, or messages do you want to portray in your music?
I mean, first, I stand for the betterment of humanity. I stand for excellence and maximizing just human potential. I want that for all people on the planet. I tend to tailor my message to the neighborhoods I live in. I've lived in hoods across this country, Black people from this country, Caribbean Americans, Africans, so I tend to talk to the whole African diaspora. My message to the diaspora is simple, that we have to create an ecosystem. That's the only way that I think our people will prosper. A full one, that's economics, that's NBA Africa, that's seeing ball there, that's seeing soccer in the States more, maybe in different hoods. Just creating a language and more dialogue between us so we're not as alienated from each other. Because if you look at any other group here that's made it in America, any other segment of this population, they have some other country or other continent that they're reaching back to. We can no longer act like Africa doesn't exist or be afraid of the dark continents. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think what's cool is I'm seeing this in entertainment first. We're changing that landscape and changing that dialogue. You look at NBA now, right? Think about back in the day, it was like Mutombo and Olajuwon were like the only ones. Now there's so many that we can't even count. And then in music, you have a lot of the pop stars from the US working with the pop stars of Nigeria specifically and other African countries. So my focus is really on building that bridge.
Would you like to see entertainers, African or African-American entertainers, and or maybe athletes come together more and try to do something with the influence they have, the wealth, the connections to big corporations and, you know, things like they have? Do you think that's possible? I mean, you obviously, your bachelor's degree was comparative
studies and race.
Yeah, so you come from it from your heart, the way you grew up, but also from an educated standpoint too. So do you would you like to see maybe the entertainers and or athletes kind of try to work together and look at some of these issues, maybe even mesh with Black economists, lawyers, you know,
we're doing it.
Things like, okay, expound on that, because I love that. I think I would love to see something like that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, well, one, I really think that's happening. I'm seeing different rooms. I'm on different planes and it's happening where we're all we just happen to all be in the same plane. So these conversations are happening. I'd like to see more of it for sure. I don't think everybody should, I'm not one of those pointing fingers on people and telling every athlete to march or everybody to kneel. You know, I don't, during the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm not, that's not me. But what I will say is the more dialogue, the more conversation, the more power we'll have. And like you're saying, not just within entertainment. Let's get everybody from multiple industries because that diversity in that room, it creates the best ideas, always.
What do you feel, obviously a lot of athletes are getting more involved in activism, you know, speaking out a little more. What are your thoughts on that?
I love it. I love it. I mean, I wasn't alive in the 60s, 70s. I was a little baby in the 80s, so I don't know other than what I've seen on documentaries and read about. So usually, from what I saw, there were standout activists in entertainment, definitely athletes that were standing out. Of course, Ali being one of the quintessential versions of this activist / athlete. Now I'm seeing it left and right. I'm seeing LeBron. I'm seeing everybody, man, and they're articulate. You know, Chris Paul, just hearing him speak about these issues, it's lovely, man. That's powerful. So I can't believe it, man. I don't think I think I underestimated what my generation would do. You know, I thought that it'd still be the same kind of patterns we see, just few and far between. But I'm loving what I'm seeing, man.
Is it fair to say you feel like the music seems to be getting a little more conscious too?
I think some music is, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, not all. But
we'll see what happens. You know, I'm not sure what this year will bring. You know, a new president brings new art all the time. So we'll see how people respond. I'm not sure. I think that I'm seeing, you know, Beyonce, of course, making moves that I've never seen her make her whole career. She's more raw. She's more honest now. She's more overtly political. So I do see a trend, but we'll see. I want to see how long it lasts and see if it's just a fad or this is a serious change that's going to last longer.
One thing that distinguishes you is your style of dress. Tell me about how you kind of came about that. Were you always like that, like really fresh dipped and into?
Yeah, but it wasn't. I wasn't fresh for like the 3-piece suits until like 2010 on.
Okay.
Before then, I was, you know, I had my snapbacks, my white tee, I had 3-4 chains on, my little, whatever my favorite J's were in the moment. And still sometimes I wear that and dress like that. But 2010, my father passed away. He used to wear these three-piece suits, especially back in the 70s. I look at all these pictures of him. Okay. And he walked with a cane too, but he actually needed it. So I took that and I wanted to make a younger version of that. You know, it's kind of a way of grieving. I made a younger version of that. But it was also affordable. At the time I was living in Brooklyn. I was working 4 jobs, and I would go to a thrift shop and get these old suits, because anybody who goes to a thrift shop, you know, it'll just be,
oh yeah,
but it mostly is just blazers and slacks. That's the thing you're gonna find the most in the men's section. So I grab that, take it to the tailor, and for you know, a small amount of change, I would have a very tailored, nice suit. So people would be like, man, that looks expensive, you know, and it never was. Wow. Yeah, so that's kind of how it developed. And I kept, as you know, I'm a very studious dude, so as I was looking back at the history of African Americans in this country, I was really looking at the Jim Crow era a lot. And I wanted to mimic some of the suits that black men were wearing in that era, because I still believe that we're in the new Jim Crow. If you look at mass incarceration, how many of us are locked up on parole or probation? So it was multifold. One, it was functional. Mm-hmm. 2, it was a way that I could represent honor my pops. And then 3, it served as a statement to me about the current times.
Did you think it would be as hot as it is? I mean, it's your style, and you've kind of owned it.
Yeah, I didn't go into it thinking like I was gonna be this fashion icon, because I really don't know much about fashion. I got a lot to learn.
You know that. Everybody probably thinks you know everything about fashion.
Man, I don't know anything, man. I don't read fashion magazines. I need to. I need to go to some fashion shows, and I'm open to meeting all the families that dominate the industry. But I don't know, man. I don't know it. So nah, I didn't think, and I didn't think that it would become the new word for gentleman. Mm-hmm. I was just stating, hey, this is what I like to do. It's kind of peculiar. This is strange, but I do this, and I knew I was part of a small movement that was developing around the country and around the world. This kind of black dandy movement. There's an exhibit called Dandelion about it. So all the way from Brazzaville, Congo to Brooklyn, and my homies are actually in that exhibit. I knew that this was something that was redefining masculinity. Okay. And I loved it because I always thought my uncles and my grandfather was way cooler than my generation was. So I've always been a fan of that, the old school, but I needed it to fit like the way a jumpsuit, like a tracksuit would fit. You know, tapered, like modern day.
Slim fit.
Yeah, slim fit, man. Yeah.
Well, this is fresh right here.
Yeah. This is, some people call it a kaftan. Another slang for it is just an up and down, like a shirt, up and down. We, in a lot of West Africa, we rock this, but it looks similar to, you'll see like dudes wear these zipper tees or like these slits in the tee. So I love it because it operates kind of in between those worlds. And that's my goal, always in the middle and building that bridge.
Now your new album is out. I've only heard Long Live the Chief, which is, like you said, that's just, me being a guy that grew up on 80s, 90s hip hop, like, it does take me back to that. It's dope. But what, you know, how you, obviously you love the album, but kind of talk about the new album.
Yeah, the album's called The Chief. It's the story of my journey through manhood, right? The trials and tribulations, the turning points, just the different moments that shaped me. You know, I've lived on 2 continents. I've lived in 4 corners of the continent. I was born in the middle in Wisconsin. So I've seen some different things. And my mom does not look anything like my father does. So
is your mom European?
Yeah, she's European American. So she's, you know, a quaint, modest woman from Wisconsin. And my father was a fiery, passionate, full of life Nigerian. So when you grow up in the middle, you're gonna make an album like the album that I made. It's a gumbo pot. It takes from a little bit from the French, Some of it's from Haiti, and some of it has the African aesthetic. Some of it has that European. So I kind of blended that together, and that's the sound of the Chief. It's a soundtrack of a Black James Bond, a man who's traveled in different settings.
How has being biracial shaped you? You know?
Yeah.
Or do you go just by black, or how do you know?
I mean, I don't even usually. I just let other people say whatever they think.
Obviously, when people see you,
Yeah.
they see a black man.
Yeah. Well, no, it depends on where I go. I've gotten a lot. I've gotten Latino. I've gotten Black. I've gotten Arab. I've gotten
Wow.
I've gotten Pakistani. I've gotten like a lot of different things. It depends on my hairstyle. I used to have dreadlocks.
Okay.
I've had afro. I've had bald hair. So depending on how I do, I've had braids. Right now, you know, people still do see. They say, you know, light-skinned Black man or whatever. How it shaped me is, they actually wrote a song about it on the album, The Chief. I won't say it here. It's called White N-Word.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that on the playlist.
And the song imagines the world, the current state of affairs, if white people were treated the way Black people are, right? If you just flipped it on its head.
Yeah.
There was a movie I watched named White Man's Burden.
I saw that.
Travolta and Belafonte. So imagine that, right? Imagine if prescription pills, which are the most abused drug in the US currently today, which is why we have the heroin epidemics, because of synthetic opiates that we have, and all these pills, the Vicodins, the OxyContins. Imagine if that was the target of the war on drugs, instead of crack, instead of marijuana, right? Imagine instead of the Black boy, it was the white girl with blonde hair, blue eyes. If she was the #1 target. So that, but that I don't think I would have made, and this is not to say that you can't make the song as somebody who identifies as white or Black, but because I'm in the middle and have seen different worlds and have to constantly explain the world, mostly to my white counterparts. I start that song saying, if you and your wife, Madeline, were treated just like mine, all the anchors on ABC Nightline would speak about white crime. And it goes on. So I think that's a great example of what it is to have the perspective that I have.
Yeah, nah, that's great, man. And you know, on a light note, they say light-skinned brothers is taking over. You know, we back in style, you know, because everybody told me Michael Jordan ruined it for us, you know. But I'm looking at dunk contest.
Yeah, the dunk contest last year.
Exactly,
I was like, ooh, and I was
Steph Curry.
Yeah,
you
Clay. I know it's you know, that whole debate's funny, man.
It is funny.
It always comes. It comes around like every 2 years. I don't know who's swinging the pendulum either, but. Hey man, I hope we all win, man. I ain't tripping by nobody's skin tone.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Great.
Thanks for
Good
having
luck
me,
with
Chris.
everything, man.
Thank you.
And like I said, I'm a fan. I'm even a bigger fan now.
Man, thank you.
And great best to you, man.
Thank you. Much success to you too, bro.
Thank you.
Always.
Thank you.